Long before Ellen DeGeneres was handing out pizza to the audience, Abbott and Costello were handing out popcorn and laughs. William Bud Abbott and Lou Costello were an American comedy duo from the 1940s and early 1950s, most famous for their routine called Who's On First. Their routine lives on through the comedy duo of Bill Riley and Joe Ziegler. I caught up with them at the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention in Hunt Valley, Maryland.
So often people say to us, there have been people who, again, have no taste and have been following us our entire time working together. And the thing that they say that really means a lot to me, no matter how many times they hear us do Who's On First or any other routine, they said, you always sound fresh. It sounds like it's the first time you've ever done it. And that's very important because we don't want to ever sound like we're tired of it, because we're not. That's one reason we don't sound that way. We truly love doing Who's On First. People, that's the most common question. Aren't you sick of doing that?
Right.
Not at all.
Never.
Not at all. And when we watch the real Bud and Lou doing that routine, we're both on the floor.
We still laugh. As long as we've been doing it, we still laugh at them. So
it's true with any acting. If you don't love it, what you're doing, you can't keep doing it. I mean, the second you start doing a role and you hate it, your audience is going to know. So we like it, so we keep doing it.
So are the audiences are still laughing at these classic comedic routines?
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of people will say, don't like the kids. Did they really get it and everything? We've actually done a photographer hired us for his daughter's Sweet 16 party, and we're thinking, well, what are we getting ourselves into? These kids are gonna be like, who are these old guys? But we went and we went and we did the show, and to our surprise, the kids are like coming right up in front of us, and they're hanging on every word, and they're enjoying the whole routine. They're getting autographs after the show, and these are 16-year-olds. You wouldn't think, but like so many parents nowadays, they'll bring their kids up on these old comedy shows, and they love it. So, it's family friendly. It's no violence, no cuss words, all that blue comedy that people don't like. But
he hits me every once in a while.
Well, if I was him, I'd hit you too.
Again,
hit the man.
It's so difficult.
Don't hit the man.
All right.
So why do you suppose there's such a love for Abbott and Costello? I mean, besides being funny, is there something about them that they can relate to that makes these two timeless characters?
Well, first of all, the main group that truly loves Abbott and Costello were the people that lived with Abbott and Costello through World War II. I mean, that Bud and Lou brought so much joy and laughter to people who really needed it at a time they really needed it, along with the Andrews sisters, Glenn Miller, people like that. You had to have that entered. If they didn't, I don't think they'd have made it through. And we have people that say, I saw Abbott and Costello live in person at the Hippodrome Theater here in Baltimore, or various places we go to. And, you do a phenomenal job. I could have sworn I was watching them live all over again, which again is such an honor and means so much to us. So for that group, it brings back great memories. And Jason had mentioned for kids, there are a lot of kids who do know who we are already, but then there are quite a few who don't know Abbott and Costello, and perhaps their parents say, just sit down in the chair and watch the show. But when the show is over, they come up and they're falling over themselves. I mean, you watch them, they start snickering a little bit, they're chuckling with each other, and by the end, they're rolling on the floor, because the routines are timeless, and they're just, again, Jason said, family friendly, and it introduces a whole new generation to Abbott and Costello, and all the comedians, like Laurel and Hardy, the Marx Brothers, the Three Stooges, W.C. Fields, all that. Just outstanding comedy.
Is this your first year at the Nostalgia Convention?
No, this is our third time. Third year coming to the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention. Going back to when they used to hold it in Aberdeen was the first time that we did a show for them. We were here last year, and we got called to come back in this year.
And how do you do the performance? Is it on stage, or do you travel around?
Last year we did a show after the banquet. This year we're just mostly doing meet and greet people, walk around, just clowning around with folks in the vendor room and things like that.
Well, I'm really excited to see you two perform some of the scene from Who's on First. Would you mind going upstairs and going around the crowd, and maybe we can get a taste of what you two do?
Sure, sure, sure. Be glad to.
Okay, let's do it. We'll see you upstairs.
That was the real.
Who's on first?
The Flash.
What's that?
Who's on first?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
See, he don't know.
No, he knows. He's telling you that's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yeah.
But go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who is on first?
What are you asking me
I'm
for?
not asking you. I'm telling you that's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Tell me who's on first.
That's right.
I want to know what's the guy's name on first base.
No, what's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third base. We're not even talking about him.
How did I get on third base?
Well, you mentioned the man's name.
If I mention the third baseman's name, who did I say is playing third?
Who's not playing third? Who's playing first?
I'm not asking you who's on first.
But who is on first?
I'm asking you what's the guy's name on third?
What's the guy's name on second?
Who's on second?
Who's on first?
I don't know.
He's on third
There we
base.
go, back on third
Well, I
again.
can't change their names.
What's the guy's name on first base?
What's the guy's name on second base?
I'm not asking you who's on
Who's
second.
on first?
I don't know. Third
Third
base. Woo! he ain't never gonna tell you.
What?
Stop the
I
run!
don't know why you don't understand. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He ain't gonna tell you.
I'm sorry.